Well, we cross now to our news politics editor, Mzwandile Mbeje, who's at Parliament for more details on today's proceedings. Now, Mzwandile, good morning. And of course, we've been waiting. This was postponed from last week until today. And just talk to us about, the process, what's likely to happen today and how exactly it will unfold.
Well, a very good morning to you, Sakina, and the viewers. And of course, as you can see, we're standing outside here. That is the City Hall. This is where the members of Parliament will be gathered later on. Sakina, remember the Parliament building just up the road, was burnt down earlier this year. So clearly, this is their new place as they will be gathering to discuss the panel's report that you have just spoken about, which really said the president has a case to answer. So what will be happening, Sakina, is that members of Parliament will gather here, all of them, because this is a physical event. Otherwise, if it were not, I guess it would have been done sometime last week, but it had to be postponed to allow everyone to get all the logistics in place for them to get here to then debate this report that was presented by the retired Chief Justice Mzwandile Ngcobo. And then obviously after that, Sakina, then they will take a vote whether they adopt it or they reject it. We already know that the governing party, which is in the majority, have said it wants this report to be not to be adopted by its member. They must vote against it. So which, if all go according to what the party would have said, it may be a bit of a foregone conclusion. But we know that within the governing party, and especially Sakina, 3 days before the all-important national conference, so there are those rumblings, there are those ructions. So the question is, will all members of the governing party vote to reject this report? If that doesn't happen, so clearly it will say something about the political situation around the governing party, which is holding a very important conference in 3 days, as I've said. So what does this mean about the incumbent President Ramaphosa, who is seeking a second term? Right now, when we look at the nominations that have happened, so he's still in a commanding lead, but will everything have changed since the release of this report, Sakina?
And of course, Mzwandile, also much being made about the fact that this will be it will not be a secret ballot, it will be an open vote for that matter. And again, there was a request, of course, by the ATM and other opposition parties for this to be a secret ballot. But of course, the Speaker ruling against that. Just the latest in that regard, with regard to whether the opposition is accepting that and how that is likely to play out, Mzwai?
Well, it makes it very, very interesting on two issues, Sakina. The fact that the vote will be open, it then calls into courage, so to speak, those within the governing party who have said, we will vote with our conscience, we may break ranks and vote perhaps to adopt the report. But remember, you are here in Parliament on the ticket of the party. So clearly, it will really show those who may be opposed to what is happening in the governing party to say, well, it doesn't matter the consequences. But on the second part, Sakina, the opposition is really hoping that those disgruntled members of the ANC, if this were held in secret, would vote with them for this report to be adopted. So they will be disappointed that those they may have said they have been able to persuade to vote with them will find it difficult to go against the party line. So it's a very interesting situation that we will be watching, Sakina, here. And remember, the debate starts at 2 o'clock. And then, of course, once it's concluded, it's going to go down to the vote.
And indeed, we'll check back in with you, Mzwandile, as those proceedings get underway a little later on. But of course, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with former ANC Premier in the Northwest Province, Supra Mahumapelo, who has, for example, indicated that he feels that, he shouldn't have to toe that party line, as did Mervyn Dirks. So it's going to be interesting. And Mzwai, hopefully when they appear, you will basically interview interview them and get a sense for us about where they stand today on this matter. Mzwandile Mbeje, SABC's politics editor, there for us in Parliament.